Court has adjourned for the day in the Michael Jackson trial, with jurors hearing detailed testimony from a former Neverland security guard.
A lot of testimony today about the comings and goings of visitors at Jackson's Neverland Ranch. Security guards there took meticulous notes about when visitors would arrive, where they would be staying, and when they planned to leave. A former security guard testified that in early 2003 there was a message on the board of one of the security offices which said the accuser is not allowed off the property. This was during the time the family claims they were falsely imprisoned by Jackson and his associates. Under a painstaking cross-examination, the defense presenting extensive logs showing various dates the accuser and his family came to the ranch and also dates that they left the ranch. The question before the jury: where is the defense going with this?
They're going through date by date by date, and the issue that that's raising is the timeline. And if the mother is wrong or confused as to the timeline, question one, is she lying? Question two, is she mistaken? If either of those are true, then what? Does that mean that none of this occurred or none of this could have occurred? That's the question that's being raised by the cross-exam.
And before the jury can put all this together, they will have to wait for the former security guard to finish his testimony. Perhaps that will happen tomorrow. Contessa, as you mentioned, court is over for the day.
Jennifer London in Santa Maria, California. Thank you, Jennifer.
In the Michael Jackson trial now, more testimony from a former Neverland guard, plus word that a potential defense witness has been arrested in New Jersey.
Michael Jackson arriving here at the courthouse in Santa Maria. It is week 8 of his criminal trial. He did arrive with his mother. Only a very small group of fans gathered outside the courthouse to greet the embattled pop star. This morning, the defense again focusing on detailed security logs, which show when the accuser and his family arrived at Jackson's ranch and when they left. Yesterday, a former security guard testified that in early 2003, there was a note in the security office that said the accuser is not allowed off the property. In meticulous detail this morning, the defense going through key dates of these security logs from February and March 2003. That is the time period that the family says it was being held against its will.
They're trying to show the boy did not sleep in Michael Jackson's room, that the family was able to come and go on various occasions, that Frank and Vinny were not always there watching them, as was claimed in testimony. So the defense is trying to show this family was not being held hostage.
And in related Michael Jackson news, a possible witness for the defense has been arrested for allegedly having sex with a minor. Ahmed Elatab is one of Jackson's most vocal, outspoken supporters. He says that he met the pop star back in the mid-1990s and he visited him at his Jackson's ranch many times, but he says he never slept in Jackson's bed. Lisa, at this time it is not clear how this will affect his testimony, if in fact the defense plans to call him.
Prosecutors in the Michael Jackson trial are set to wrap up their case this week, but they still have some important witnesses to put on the stand.
Testimony has begun here in Santa Maria. In fact, we've heard some emotional testimony this morning from one of Michael Jackson's former security guards. Qasim Abdul started to cry on the stand as he told the jury about threats. He says he received threats against himself and his family. He also says that some of Jackson's armed security personnel intimidated him when he worked at Jackson's Neverland Ranch. He also told the jury that he saw Michael Jackson hug and kiss the cheek of his accuser from 1993. He also testified that he saw 2 wet swim trunks on the floor of Jackson's rec room where the two had been earlier in the evening. Under cross-examination, however, lead defense attorney Tom Mesereau referring to a statement that Abdul signed, which stated in the statement that he never saw Michael Jackson touch a child in a sexual manner. Earlier this morning, the judge did rule that 2 prosecution witnesses will be allowed to testify. One of them, Michael Jackson's ex-wife, Debbie Rowe, will take the stand. Also, the jury will hear from Michael Jackson's former travel agent. She may testify that she bought airline tickets for the accuser and his family for a trip to Brazil. Here is one opinion on why that testimony may be important.
This will support the prosecution's theory that Michael Jackson wanted to get rid of these people. It sounds very sinister, to have a one-way ticket to Brazil when you have somebody coming in saying he wanted to send me to Brazil and get rid of me. It sounds sinister, and it's very possible the jury will hear it that way.
Today, the Michael Jackson trial continues with more testimony about a rebuttal video recorded by Jackson Associates.
Testimony from Michael Jackson's former videographer has completed for the day, but only after an extensive cross-examination. The defense is attempting to attack the prosecution's claim that the interview that the accuser and his family gave for this rebuttal video was scripted. Hamid Mosleh said that the accuser and his family were at his house for many hours before they actually taped that interview, and he said he never saw the family reviewing a script or trying to memorize anything. He also said he never saw the family being coached before the interview. Also, the defense attempting to try and distance Michael Jackson from his associates by pointing out that it was Jackson's associates who made all the arrangements for the rebuttal video.
You got this distance between Michael Jackson and the people the prosecution's actually calling. Almost the suggestion that, you know, there was this management around Michael Jackson who might have been out of control, but there's really no link that Michael Jackson himself knew exactly what the plans were.
If and when Michael Jackson's ex-wife Debbie Rowe does in fact take the stand, the prosecution may try and link Michael Jackson directly to this rebuttal video by pointing out that the pop star called Rowe and asked her personally to participate. The prosecution also claims that she was forced to participate in this rebuttal video and that what she said was highly scripted as well. Debbie Rowe's testimony was meant to corroborate testimony from the accuser's mother that they were forced to participate in a rebuttal video and that it was highly scripted. And while Rowe did say that her interview lasted for 9 hours and that one of Michael Jackson's associates frequently would interject and have her rephrase her answers, and she did say she did the interview so she could see her children, she never said she was forced to do the interview, and she never said it was scripted. On cross-examination, she said she wanted to give spontaneous answers and she wanted to help Michael Jackson. Also, she said she thought that Michael Jackson was very far removed from what his associates were actually doing. The defense attempting to distance Jackson from his unindicted co-conspirators. Debbie Rowe showing a lot of animosity toward Jackson's associates, saying they are liars and that they were trying to take advantage of Michael Jackson. At one point, she called them, quote, opportunistic vultures. For her ex-husband, however, Rose still seems to have a lot of affection for. At one point, she looked directly at Jackson and she said, there are different Michaels. She started to cry and she said, there's my Michael. And she took a moment to try and compose herself. And then she said, then there's the Michael everyone else sees. Many are now wondering, after hearing Rose's testimony, why the prosecution even called her.
She distances Michael Jackson from the conspiracy. She makes him look like a victim of all of the people surrounding him. She makes prosecutors look bad. She makes the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Department look bad. You could essentially distill her testimony and use it as a closing argument if you're Michael Jackson's defense attorneys.